Sige, staff ba ni Mitch yung kanina pumunta rito? Sabi mo na kay Rod, ano, Bin, sabi mo na kay Rod, start na, 10:45 na. Oo. May quorum naman, di ba? Secretary, may quorum na.
May national anthem pa naman. Ang mix eh.
The 12th plenary session of the Commission on Appointments in the second regular session of the 17th Congress is hereby called to order. Let us all pause for a minute of silent prayer. Amen. Please remain standing for the singing of the Philippine National Anthem. Secretary, please call the roll.
The honorable members of the Commission on Appointments: Albano III, Almario, Aquino IV, Cortuna, Ejercito, Gatchalian Sherwin, Gatchalian West, Honasan II, Hontiveros, Halushos, Lacson, Loyola, Ocampo, Pacquiao, Pangilinan, Po, Ramirez Sato, Recto, Salimbangon, Tolentino, Treñas, Villar, Zamora, Subiri. The chairperson is present.
With 18 present, which count includes the chair declares the presence of a quorum.
Mr. President, I move that we dispense with the reading of the journal of the plenary session held on February 28, 2018 and consider the same as approved.
Is there any objection? Chair hears none. The reading of the journal of the plenary session held on February 28, 2018 is dispensed with, and the same is hereby approved.
Mr. President, may we now proceed to consider the recommendations of your Committee on National Defense for the confirmation of the ad interim appointments and the Commission's consent to the appointments of 9 senior officers of the Armed Forces of the Philippines.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the consideration of the recommendations of the Committee on National Defense is now in order.
Mr. President, I move that the acting chairperson, Senator Gregorio B. Honasan II, of your Committee on National Defense be recognized. I so move.
Senator Honasan is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, your Committee on National Defense conducted a hearing this morning to consider the ad interim appointments and nominations of 9 senior officers in the Armed Forces of the Philippines. After a thorough deliberation. Your committee unanimously voted to favorably recommend for the Commission's confirmation and its consent to the ad interim appointments and nominations. But before I make the motion, Mr. President, please allow me to enter into the record some remarks. And before I do so, Mr. President, Mr. Chairman, I would like to enter into the record a waiver that my remarks, should any be irreverent or offensive, be stricken off the records. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, a Swiss national was once asked, does Switzerland have an army? And the reply was, no, because Switzerland is an army. I am waiting for somebody to ask me if the Republic of the Philippines has an army. Mr. President, the Philippines does not need an army. There are 10 to 14 million Filipinos scattered in 200 countries all over the world. We are in the Washington Belt, where policy decisions are made by the most powerful democracy in this planet. We are in the United Nations. We are in every world policy-making body. Our overqualified professionals are raising children and inculcating Filipino values to the children of world leaders. They are privy to bedroom and dinner conversations, after which they start texting and emailing. We are practically the gossip capital of the world. We do not need an army. This batch of nominees is only a small component, which is symbolically representative of a cross-section of the best citizen army in the world. Let me enumerate. Major General Glenn Paje, professional soldier and warrior. His record speaks for itself. But his most important qualifications, I think, are the fact that he is a Bicolano and is a rebel. Colonel Len Primicias Agabas, Philippine Army Reserve, lawyer, Representative 6th District of Pangasinan. Lieutenant Colonel by Sandra A. Sema, Philippine Army Reserve, Deputy Speaker, Representative 1st District of Maguindanao. Colonel Gwendolyn F. Garcia, Philippine Army Reserve, Deputy Speaker, Representative 3rd District of Cebu. Colonel Roy M. Loyola, Philippine Army Reserve, Representative 5th District of Cavite, Chairperson of the Committee on National Defense of the Commission on Appointments, lawyer. Colonel Rudy Fariñas, JAGS, Reserve, Majority Floor Leader of the bigger house, bar top-notcher. Colonel Emmanuel Manny Pacquiao, PA Reserve, the only 8th Division world champion in the history of boxing. He is practically a national treasure. Colonel Bebot Alvarez, Philippine Navy Marines Reserve, Speaker of the House of Representatives. Mr. President, look at the process. We have the Senate President, Chairman, presiding over the confirmation proceedings of the Speaker of the House. We have lady senators and congressmen, the Honorable Cortuna, the Honorable Risa Hontiveros, the Honorable Cynthia Villar, and others. They collectively and individually are what this humble representation would want to be when I finally grow up. Now, Mr. Chairman, you notice I omitted one name. Senator Lauren Legarda is the only female member of the macho bloc in the Senate. It has nothing to do with what is figuratively balls. I have a 5-page resume, which looks like a printout from Smartmatic, minus the premature transmission and the inaccuracies. I have a 2-page sponsorship speech. I discarded both. Mr. President, 1 week ago, by mutual agreement with Senator Lacson, we started conducting a background investigation on the nominee, Senator Legarda, because he represents the aggregate of all the nominees. We only ask one question: harnessing the collective power of research of the Senate Committee on National Defense and Security, the Senate Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs, the Senate Committee on Peace and Unification, the Oversight Committee on Intelligence, the ad interim or the ad hoc committee on Marawi Rehabilitation. We ask one question: what are Senator Legarda's vital statistics? Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, we hit a firewall which speaks to us about her security consciousness. Document security, physical security, communication security, cyber security. We asked our staff to pressure Senator Legarda's staff to get this information. Short of torture and human rights violation, they did not budge. This speaks to us about loyalty, about the 2 ingredients of leadership, which is welfare of the men and accomplishment of the mission. In short, she is a true leader. Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, this batch will fight and win where it matters most, in the hearts and minds of our people. Talking about hearts, the road that Senator or Colonel Legarda has traveled up to where she is now is littered with bodies of male chauvinists, their broken hearts pierced by Cupid's arrows, and all of them presuming to be the one to share a lifetime with Senator Legarda. Mr. President, as a last comment, I was looking at the nominees. In a previous lifetime, I wore the blood-stained, soak-drenched, faded fatigues. As I shared with Colonel Agabas earlier, I never thought that the uniform could be this dignified, no, and this sexy. So, Mr. President, having said that, I therefore move that the Commission confirm and give its consent to the ad interim appointments and nominations of the following: Rene Glenn Opahe. These are ad interim appointments, Mr. Chairman. Rene Glenn Opahe to the rank of Major General.
So, ladies and gentlemen of the Commission, the motion is for the Commission to confirm. Majority Leader, is there someone
Is there someone to second the nomination?
Okay, so
Of all the nominees.
so before I act on the motion, let us give chance to our
To
members
Senator
to
Lacson.
second the nomination
Senator Lacson.
of General Pahe.
Tinurin ka lang?
Us.
Okay.
Senator Ontiveros is
Ontiveros.
recognized.
Mr. President, good majority leader, I am proud and honored and very happy to second the confirmation of the nomination of my mista in the PMAC Nagtala class of 1986, a proud member of the Long Gray Line, a loyal servant to the Republic in the Armed Forces. I so move, Mr. President.
Any other who wants to second? Although we all know to second the nomination is not required or necessary. So let me now restate the pending motion. It is for the Commission to confirm the ad interim appointment of Rene Glenn O. Pahe to the rank of Major General. Is there any objection? Okay, hearing none, the motion is approved.
Mr. Chairman, to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Army Reserve, Marlene L. Primicias Agabas.
The motion is for the Commission to confirm the ad interim appointment of Marlene L. Primicias Agabas to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Army Reserve. Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
To the rank of Colonel Rodolfo C. Fariñas.
Okay, so our Vice Chairman,
Chairman is hereby recognized.
Congressman Zamora is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, if you notice, of the 11 nominees and appointees, 6 of them come from the House of Representatives. And it is my distinct honor, and it is a personal privilege, to second the nomination first of the individual nominee right now up for consideration, that is Congressman Fariñas, who, if you will remember, was also the immediately preceding majority leader in the 16th Congress of the Commission on Appointments. And it is also my privilege to second the nomination of the succeeding nominee, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez, and of course of all of the members of the House of Representatives. Mr. Speaker, I can speak, I feel, without any possible contradiction, that these are really the best and the brightest that august chamber can offer the Philippines. Who are they, Mr. Speaker? We are talking of the Speaker of the House of Representatives. We are talking about the majority leader of the House of Representatives. We are talking about 2 deputy speakers of the House of Representatives. We are talking about very senior members of the legislature. We like to call it the bigger house of the Philippine Congress. In a word, Mr. Speaker, all of them, all 6 of them, have worked very hard in their legislative careers. But it is not just in the legislature that they have worked. They have worked in the true calling for every Filipino public servant. And what is that, Mr. Chairman? That is to give true and honest service to the people of the Philippines. After all, Mr. Chairman, isn't that what we pledge ourselves every day to do? To serve the people of the Philippines, so often undeservedly and so often not at all served in the best way possible. Mr. Speaker, may I just spend a few minutes on both of our most senior officers in the House of Representatives. Both of them are lawyers. The Speaker, for instance, spent several years in the House of Representatives before. Now, as Speaker, he has spent close to 2 years voicing out what many in the House of Representatives, many in the Senate, would have liked to voice, taking very controversial positions, but always pushing, and very successfully, the legislative agenda of the President of the Philippines. Mr. Speaker, he has raised, as the Chairman has raised, federalism as the central issue for this administration. He has always told us that in the end, federalism means true local autonomy, something that not only the chairman, but even his own equally esteemed father has always championed. True federalism that will bring about true empowerment of local government units and, most importantly, of the people of the Philippines. He has not been fearful to take controversial positions and stance on controversial issues, including those that we have long wanted to adopt: divorce, nullification of marriages, social positions that previous leaders have failed to adopt. Mr. Speaker, this is a gentleman who will be a prime contributor to the armed forces of the Philippines when he is finally confirmed. Our present majority leader was once majority leader in the Commission on Appointments. You have heard anecdotes about his stint. I do not need to repeat them right now. But like you, Mr. Chairman, he did very well when he took the bar. Like you. Like you, he did very well in the bar examinations, coming out as a bar top-notcher. This is without really studying law the way some of us studied law. But he did very well because he had what you need to be a top-notcher. What is that? Native intelligence. Native intelligence in the law, native intelligence in the general experience of what makes a true lawyer. Mr. Speaker, Mr. President, these are what we have offered now to the Commission on Appointments. These are true leaders. These are valuable additions not only to our present legislature, not only to public service. These will now be valuable additions to the armed forces of the Philippines. Mr. Speaker, I am privileged to second their nomination. Thank you.
So let me now restate the pending motion, since this involves a nomination. The motion is for the Commission to give its consent to the appointment of Rodolfo C. Fariñas to the rank of Colonel, Judge Advocate, General Service Reserve. Is there any objection?
Mr. President, before we proceed, we have a pending motion for the recommendation, for the Commission to give its consent to the confirmation to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Army Reserve. These are ad interim appointments of Marlene L. Primicias Agabas. That was the pending motion.
Already acted upon, sir. It's already Colonel Fariñas.
Yes, I understand, Mr. President. I was working on a timeline before the Vice Chairman rose to second.
Session suspended. Tapos na, di ba?
Mr. President, ready to
Session
proceed.
is resumed.
Mr. President, I submit to the records and the ruling of the chairman.
Let me restate the pending motion. The motion is for the Commission to give its consent to the appointment of Rodolfo C. Fariñas to the rank of Colonel, Judge, Advocate, General Service, Reserve. Is there any objection? Okay, hearing none, the motion is approved.
Mr. Chairman, to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Air Force, Reserve, Lorna Regina B. Legarda.
Senator Lacson.
Mr. Chairman, when brains and beauty combine in a person's well-being, it may be difficult not to take notice, especially when she speaks on matters and issues closest to her heart, environment. Mr. Chairman, esteemed colleagues of this uniquely generous and kind-hearted body, at least in today's confirmation hearing, it is my distinct honor and privilege to second the motion that the Commission give its consent to the nomination of Lieutenant Colonel Lorna Regina B. Legarda to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Air Force Reserve. Daring and passionate, this is how our distinguished colleague from the province of Antique, Senator Legarda, was portrayed by People Asia magazine on the cover of their latest issue. With our nominee's outstanding record as a top-notch senator, environmental champion, indigenous people's advocate, peace builder, and a lot more, I'll bet my bottom peso that no one will disagree to the observations made by one of the country's finest magazines. She has remained committed to pursuing excellence, as shown by her impressive academic background back from her early school days up until the time when she graduated at the top of her class at the National Defense College of the Philippines with master's degree in National Security Administration, which earned her the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. In her 20 years as a public servant, the Filipino people have seen her passion in pushing for the passage of the following key legislations: Philippine Climate Change Act, People's Survival Fund Act, Ecological Solid Waste Management Act, Anti-Trafficking in Persons Act and its expanded version, and the Philippine Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Act. As her Vice Chairman in the Senate Committee on Finance, I'd say that my professional ties with our nominee can be likened to a love-hate relationship. How many times have we stood up and spoken out our minds from different sides of the table? I'd say not a few. At times, we agree. Most of the time, we simply agree to disagree. However, Mr. Chairman, at the end of the day, I see our nominee as a woman of action, a doer and a mover. Mr. Chairman and distinguished colleagues, it is for these reasons and more that I second the recommendation that this body give its consent to the appointment of Lieutenant Colonel Lorna Regina B. Legarda, Philippine Air Force Reserve, to the rank of Colonel of the Philippine Air Force. I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody else?
Yes, next to second will be Senator Mick Subiri.
Senator Subiri is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, the nominee is fondly called Tita Ganda in this chamber. Our very own Mother Earth of the Senate, as we call her. She's the author of several environmental laws, too many to mention. She's also our chair of the Finance Committee, our chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee, the chair of the Climate Change Committee. She was also a former majority leader of this chamber and a three-term senator. Three-term? Three-term? Or four-term? Three-term. Okay, three-term senator. And not to mention, a TV celebrity, Mr. President. Hindi lang pang-artista, pang-military pa. Kung makita mo yung napakagandang litrato niya dito, she can be Miss, in her age of 38, she can be Miss Philippines in the Binibining Pilipinas pageant. Ganun kaganda ang ating Tita Ganda. Now, as full colonel, Mr. President, she can be our pambansang forest guard to protect our forests and our environment for those who want to harm it with the same vigor as our heroes in the military. Therefore, it is my honor and privilege to second the nomination of full colonel to Honorable Senator Lauren Legarda.
The motion is for the Commission to give its consent to the appointment of Lorna Regina B. Legarda to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Air Force Reserve. Is there any objection? Okay, hearing none, the motion is approved.
Mr. Chairman, to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Navy Marines Reserve, Pantaleon D. Alvarez.
The motion is for the Commission to give its consent to the appointment of Pantaleon D. Alvarez to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Navy Marines Reserve. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
Mr. Chairman, to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Army Reserve, Gwendolyn F. Garcia.
The motion is for the Commission to give its consent to the appointment of Gwendolyn F. Garcia to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Army Reserve. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
Mr. Chairman, to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Army Reserve, Roy M. Loyola.
Senator Lacson.
Mr. Chairman, it is also my honor and privilege to second the motion that the Commission give its consent to the nomination of Lieutenant Colonel Roy M. Loyola to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Army Reserve. They say it takes a long time to grow an old friend. I dare say that our nominee, Congressman Roy M. Loyola, is one of mine. I have known him from a long way back, perhaps too long that I have already heard of all his oft-repeated jokes and banters. Between you and me, Mr. Chairman, Congressman Roy has two ways to win the hearts of his friends, relatives, and constituents. I'm tempted to go further and say, ladies. Yes, our nominee is the most amazing lady killer I've seen in my whole life. Either through his good sense of humor or his mouth-watering binalot or rice and adobo wrapped in banana leaves. Everyone knows that Congressman Loyola is a good dose of comic relief. And it is a fact that, that good humor befits the intelligent and perceptive people such as our nominee. A lawyer by profession and a member of the Integrated Bar of the Philippines, he has already modestly achieved his calling as a public servant. He is a fellow Caviteño who has served as the municipal mayor of Carmona, Cavite for more than a decade, starting with his 3 consecutive terms from 1995 until 2004, and another term from 2007 to 2010. He was later elected as the first representative of the newly created 5th District of Cavite in 2010. Under his leadership, Carmona's economy has grown from a quaint agricultural to a highly commercialized and industrialized town. From what we know as one of the smallest towns in the province of Cavite, Carmona is now a first-class municipality, a high revenue earner, and a major contributor in the economic activity of Cavite. His exemplary performance as local chief executive earned him the following: Presidential Dangal ng Bayan Award in 1999, Presidential Lingkod Bayan Award in 2009, both conferred by the Civil Service Commission, Conrad Adenauer Medal of Excellence in 2003, General Emilio Aguinaldo Outstanding Achievement Award for Industrial Development in 2006, and the Apolinario Mabini Award in 2008, among others. Mr. Chairman and distinguished colleagues, it is to this end that I second the motion that this body give its consent to the appointment of Lieutenant Colonel Roy M. Loyola to the rank of Colonel of the Philippine Army Reserve. I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so the pending motion is for the Commission to give its consent to the appointment of Roy M. Loyola to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Army Reserve. Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Chairman, to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Army Reserve, Emmanuel D. Pacquiao.
Senator Subiri is recognized.
Mr. President, this man needs no introduction. As mentioned earlier by Senator Greg Honasan, he is a national icon and a national treasure, winning accolades for the country in 8 world division titles of boxing. Anywhere he goes, whether it is the Metro Manila, Mindanao, Visayas, Luzon, or the streets of Dubai or the United States, he is mobbed by fans adoring this gentleman, Mr. President. I'm also honored because he also is a member of our region of Mindanao, and he brings a lot of honor to our region of Mindanao. Not only being his compadre, and actually he is also an adopted Bukidnon, because not too many people know that he was born in the mountains of Bukidnon, particularly in Barangay Magsaysay, Kibawe, before he went to General Santos to live the rest of his life. So, Mr. President, it is an honor and privilege for me to second the nomination of Emmanuel Pacquiao as full colonel of the Military Reserve. Thank you, Mr. President.
The motion is for the Commission to give its consent to the appointment of Emmanuel D. Pacquiao to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Army Reserve. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
Mr. Chairman, finally, last but not least, to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Army Reserve, by Sandra A. Sema.
The motion is for the Commission to give its consent to the appointment of Bai Sandra A. Sema to the rank of Colonel, Philippine Army Reserve. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Thank you, Senator Honasan. Majority Leader?
Mr. Senate President, there being no other matter to discuss, I move that we adjourn.
Is there any objection? There being none, session is hereby adjourned. Listen, Vice Chairman, Speaker. Litrato, Colonel. Colonel ka na eh.